The tragedy of the modern male isn't that he fails, it's that he has been taught to be satisfied with a participation trophy while his potential rots in the basement of his own mind. You have been conditioned by a system that profits from your passivity. A system that wants you sedated on a sofa, clicking through endless feeds of other people living the life you were supposed to claim. You do 1 hour of mediocre work, and then you look for a reward, you look for a break, you look for a pat on the back. A real man, a man of status and power, doesn't know what a break is because he is haunted by the idea that somewhere in the world, his rival is still awake and still working. I sit in my domain, surrounded by the spoils of war, by the supercars and the influence, and I don't feel relaxed. I feel a burning impatience because I know that the moment you stop climbing, you start sliding. You losers are worried about getting enough sleep, while I am worried about whether my soul is sharp enough to cut through the next obstacle. You think 7 hours of sleep is a right, but in the realm of the elite, sleep is just a necessary evil that we minimize to stay ahead of the curve. You look at me and see the end result, but you refuse to see the 1,000 nights of caffeine-fueled obsession that built the throne. You are a biological machine designed for the hunt, but you have allowed yourself to be domesticated into a pet that begs for treats. Your ancestors were out in the cold, chasing down dinner with nothing but a sharpened stick and a prayer, while you are complaining that your delivery order is 5 minutes late. You have stuffed yourself with processed poison and comfortable lies until you have become lethargic, useless, and essentially invisible to the universe. A full stomach is the enemy of a great man, because a full stomach tells your brain that the hunt is over, and when the hunt is over, you stop evolving. You need to stay hungry, literally and metaphorically, because hunger is the only thing that keeps the fire of ambition from turning into the cold ash of complacency. You ask about motivation and procrastination as if they are complex medical conditions, but they are just synonyms for being a coward who is afraid of the work. You don't need a therapist or a pill. You need to turn off the distractions and go find a mountain to climb until your lungs burn and your mind finally realizes that it doesn't have a choice but to succeed. The alternative to this struggle is to be a nobody forever, to be one of the billions of people who lived and died without leaving a single scratch on the surface of history. I am tired of the soft-hearted garbage that says everyone is special and everyone will find their way, because the harsh reality is that most people are destined for a life of quiet desperation because they were too lazy to pick up the tools that were lying right in front of them. If I gave you a map to a treasure chest, you would probably complain that the hike is too steep or that your shoes aren't comfortable enough. You have become a victim of your own comfort, a prisoner of a life that is too easy to be meaningful. You were designed to perform when you are under pressure, to find clarity when you are struggling for survival, but you have traded that edge for a paycheck and a predictable routine. You should be drinking coffee until your heart beats like a war drum, because you need your brain firing at maximum velocity to see the traps the Matrix has set for you. I don't care about your vitamins, your supplements. I care about your intensity and your refusal to negotiate with your own fatigue. If you are sleeping like a baby while the world is being carved up by the strong, then you deserve to be left with the crumbs. My brother and I don't know what a day off looks like, because we understand that every second we aren't building our empire, someone else is trying to tear it down. We mock the idea of a nap, because a nap is a temporary death, a surrender of time that you can never get back. You shouldn't be living your life in the gray area of half effort where you aren't really working and you aren't really resting. You should be a binary creature. Either you are attacking your goals with 100% of your energy, or you are recovering with the sole purpose of attacking again tomorrow. Chilling is a stress-inducing nightmare for a winner because it feels like a waste of the gift of life. When you decide to become a better version of yourself, you aren't just doing it for the money or the girls. You are doing it because it is your duty to be a pillar of strength for your bloodline. God is looking down at you and wondering why you are wasting the health and the eyesight and the intelligence he gave you on meaningless garbage. You were meant to be hammered by reality until you are as hard as a diamond, but instead you choose to be as soft as a sponge, soaking up every distraction they throw at you. Hard times are a blessing because they filter out the weak, and we are currently living in an era of unprecedented weakness, where a man who is only moderately disciplined looks like a god among insects. You have to be the one to move your own life, because no miracle is coming to save a man who won't even save himself. There is no expense greater than the cost of wasted time, because time is the only currency you can't earn back. I spend my life in a state of high-intensity execution because anything less feels like a betrayal of my own potential. The difference between the man on the yacht and the man on the shore is simply the choices they made when they were tired and when nobody was watching. Small choices build the habit of success or the habit of failure, and every time you hit snooze, you are telling the universe that you are a loser who values 5 more minutes of unconsciousness over your own dreams. Discipline is the only thing that separates the rulers from the ruled. You have been declawed by a society that wants you harmless, but it is time for you to grow your weapons back and start hunting for the life you deserve. Stop looking for a starting line and just start running, because the path only reveals itself to those who are moving fast enough to deserve it. You have the choice to be the driver or the spectator, and if you choose to watch from the sidelines, don't you dare complain when the bill comes due. Stay dangerous and stay focused, because the world is a predatory place and it has no mercy for the invisible. Invisibility is the ultimate failure for a man. If you can walk into a room and nobody notices, if you can disappear and nobody cares, then you aren't even a man, you are just a statistic. You want the beautiful woman to look at you, but why should she? What have you done to deserve her attention? You are broke, you are unremarkable, and you have no power. This obscurity should be a physical pain that keeps you awake at night until you do something extraordinarily excellent to break out of it. People want the easy way to the top, but the easy way is a lie. If it were easy to be rich and powerful, those things would have no value. You must hope for the strength to endure a hard life, because a hard life is the only thing that creates a man worth respecting. You have to be ready for the extraordinarily bad if you want the extraordinarily good. You have to be willing to lose everything, to sit in a cell, to be mocked by the masses, because that is the price of admission to the elite. Most men stay in the middle where they think they are safe, but the middle is just a slow-motion funeral for your ambition. You are a tax slave with no voice, because nobody listens to a man who can't even pay his own way. Your opinion only matters when your bank account has enough zeros to command respect. Until then, you should be quiet and work. The world is getting more expensive, the streets are getting more dangerous, and your life is slipping away. Yet you are worried about the latest celebrity gossip or the next concert. That is a slave mind. You are idolizing people who don't know you exist, while you can't even provide a future for your own children. The world where a mediocre man could have a comfortable life is dead and buried. That world has been reserved for the millionaires who had the foresight to see the crash coming. If that reality doesn't scare you into action, then you are already a ghost. The wealthy are pulling away while the rest are drowning, and the only way to get on the boat is to work harder than you ever thought possible. I am a realist who knows that peace is an illusion, and the only thing that is real is power and the ability to protect what is yours. The universe gives everyone the same chances, but most people are too busy making excuses to see them. You have to be prepared to act with violent speed the moment a door opens, because that door won't stay open for long. You are in a sinking plane and you are looking for a parachute, but you can't find one when you are 10 feet from the ground. You need to build your safety net now, with monumental impatience. Tell the cosmos that you are done waiting. You are at war for your legacy, and your only weapons are your influence and your capital. Forget the politics and the hope for a return to the good old days, because they aren't coming back. The only way out of the matrix is up, and the only way up is to get rich. Stop being a coward and stand up for your life. The world is a rigged game, but a fast player can still win if he refuses to follow the rules of the losers. Every second you spend being an invisible number is a second you are losing the war. Ask yourself if you really deserve the millions you dream of, because deep down you know you haven't put in the work to handle that kind of power. If success came to you today, it would destroy you, because you haven't learned the lessons that come from the grind. You are waiting for a lucky break, a crypto pump, a miracle, but you are just gambling with your life. Energy can't be destroyed, it can only be moved. So take that anxiety you feel and turn it into muscle and money. I wasn't born with a silver spoon. I was born with a fire in my soul that I refuse to let go out. The struggle is what makes the man, and if you skip the struggle, you will always be a weakling inside, even if you get lucky. You need to be coarsened by the labor of building something from nothing. Money only amplifies who you are, so if you are a dork with a big bank account, you are just a bigger dork. Build the man first, and the money will follow to amplify your greatness. Most of you would take a 1% chance of being rich today over a 100% chance of being rich in 3 years of hard work, and that is why you are broke. You think scrolling through groups and watching videos is work, but it isn't. Real work is building a skill that the world is forced to pay for. Real work is building a body that commands respect without you saying a word. The best way to win the game is to be so good that the game can't ignore you. You need to amplify your strengths and hire people to handle your weaknesses because your time is too valuable for low-level tasks. Success in the gym leads to success in the boardroom because discipline is a universal language. If you are a killer in one area, you will be a killer in all of them. I have never seen a shortcut that worked. Every winner I know has the scars to prove they were in the arena while you were in the stands. If you don't stop and change your direction, you are going to end up in the graveyard of wasted potential. The greatest wealth transfer in history is happening right now, and it is a meritocracy that will punish the lazy more than ever before. Decide which team you are on. Take your negative energy and use it as fuel to keep you awake when everyone else is sleeping. The lines are being drawn and the door is closing. God is waiting to see if you will claim your crown or fold like a deck of cards. The garbage time is over. Get up and prove that you are a king and not a peasant. Fix your life immediately, or accept your fate as a footnote. The clock is ticking, and the only sign you need is the mirror. Your most pathetic version is the one that surrenders to the digital parasites that have hijacked your focus. There is a version of you that never misses a workout and never wastes a moment, and that version is your only competition. Imagine the life you could have had if you hadn't been a coward for the last 2 years. Imagine the respect, the power, and the pride. The only thing in your way is your own laziness and the delusion that you have forever to get it right. Discipline is the key to the cage. A man must do what is required regardless of how he feels. Feelings are for the weak. If you only work when you feel like it, you will lose to the man who works because it is his duty. I don't believe in rest because I haven't earned the right to be satisfied. I train to force my body to obey my mind, to prove that I am the master of my own skin. The path is long and painful, but that is why the reward is so sweet. Difficulty is the filter that keeps the losers out. Hard work is always the right answer, whether you are at the bottom or the top. Pain is the elixir of growth. A man who hasn't been through hell is a man who can't be trusted in a storm. Life is a war for resources and attention, and if you aren't fighting for your share, someone else is taking it. Happiness is a fleeting emotion, but greatness is eternal. Forget being happy and focus on being brilliant. Take accountability for everything, even the things you didn't do, because that is the only way to have total control. You are in a fish tank and you need to become the shark. True power is not caring about the opinions of people who are beneath you. Your success is the best revenge. If you have a weakness, build a strength so big that it doesn't matter. Build a brotherhood of men who are as hungry as you are. Purpose makes discipline easy. Once you have a vision, you won't need an alarm clock. You are either a loser or a winner, and the choice is made every single morning. Stop being a disappointment and start being a legend. This is your war. So win it. Your problems will never go away. They will just get more expensive. Life is an 80-year battle, and you need to be a warrior until the very end. Serenity is just a chance to prepare for the next conflict. Don't wish for no problems. Wish for bigger ones. Solving today's issues earns you the right to handle tomorrow's opportunities. Stagnation is death. A man with no enemies and no challenges is a man who is rotting alive. You need to hunt to stay human. All you should ask for is a fair fight, because if the game is fair, your will always win. The world is becoming a meritocracy again, and you have no more excuses. The level playing field is easy mode for those of us who have been grinding in the dark. If you don't take this chance, you deserve to be poor. You have to be better than your enemy on your worst day. I can survive anywhere because I am a winner by nature. Build your fortress now before the storm hits. Success is no accident. It is the result of intention and execution. The battle is just beginning, and you need to be in the lead. Be angry at every missed opportunity. The harder you work, the more important you become. Winning is a fire that consumes everything in its path. Value is the only currency that matters. If you want a better life, become a better man. The momentum of excellence will carry you through. How you do one thing is how you do everything. Be a lion who is not afraid to stand alone. The losers are being punished and the winners are being promoted. Failure is just a lesson you were too arrogant to learn. Stay in the game until the universe has no choice but to give you the crown. The only thing you truly own is your mind, yet you let it sabotage you. Refuse to be your own enemy. Believe in yourself even when it's irrational, because doubt has no utility. Depression is often just a reaction to your own laziness. Every word you speak should be a command to your soul. I came from nothing and I reached the top because I decided to. Your state of mind is a choice. If you can't control your thoughts, you are just a leaf in the wind. I work regardless of my mood because my mood doesn't pay the bills. Analyze the winners instead of envying them. Perform when you are sad and when you are happy. Life is player versus player, and the best player takes everything. Embrace the struggle as your building blocks. Your emotions are secondary to your duties. The world doesn't care about your feelings, so why should you? I work as a duty to my bloodline. My emotional control is my greatest weapon. Happiness is a byproduct of competence. You are born with your cards, but you play the hand. Use your rage as energy. Reclaim your brain from the distractions. If your mind is broken, you are a peasant. Once you control your mind, life becomes easy. Be a professional in everything you do. There is always a new mountain. Focus your power while you are young. Doubt is just fear wearing a mask, so rip it off and get to work. Most people wake up and immediately surrender to the day. They check their phones to see what the world wants from them instead of telling the world what they want. And that is why they remain at the bottom of the food chain. You need to understand that my journey didn't start in a supercar or a private jet. It started in a small, cold apartment with exactly $400 and a laptop that was slower than my ambition. I was a world champion who had sacrificed my health for a belt, only to realize that a belt doesn't pay for a legacy and it doesn't buy you the freedom to move through the world like a ghost. I looked at that bank account and I didn't see a number. I saw a reflection of my own failure to understand how the world actually works. I had spent years mastering the art of physical violence, but I was a novice in the art of financial warfare, and that realization was more painful than any liver shot I ever took in the ring. The truth is that most of you are currently in that same apartment, maybe not physically, but mentally. You are living on the crumbs of a system that wants you sedated. You are trading your most valuable asset, your time, for a paycheck that is designed to keep you just comfortable enough not to quit, but just poor enough to never truly be free. I decided that day that being average was a death sentence, and that I would rather die in the pursuit of an empire than live another hour as a regular person. You have to kill the version of yourself that is okay with a good enough life, because that version is the anchor dragging you into the depths of obscurity. When I walked away from kickboxing, everyone thought I had lost my mind because I was leaving the only thing I was best at to enter a world where I was a nobody. My family, my friends, the people who claimed to love me, they all tried to pull me back into the crab bucket because my ambition made them feel insecure about their own laziness. If you want to achieve what I have, you have to be prepared for the loneliness that comes with the ascent. You have to be okay with the fact that your old friends won't understand why you're working at 3 in the morning on a Saturday. And you have to be okay with cutting them out of your life if they don't align with your new identity. The market doesn't care about your intentions, it only cares about the value you provide. And for months, I provided no value because I was still thinking like a fighter instead of a strategist. I failed at business after business, losing the little money I had because I hadn't yet realized that the real battlefield is in the mind. Every failed venture was a lesson I paid for in blood and time, but I refused to view it as defeat. A loser sees a failed business and says, I'm not good at this. But a winner sees a failed business and says, now I know one more way to not do it, and I'm closer to the way that works. You have to develop a skin so thick that rejection feels like a compliment and failure feels like fuel. I spent 18 hours a day staring at that screen until my eyes bled, learning the psychology of money, the mechanics of influence, and the art of the deal. I brought the same intensity I used in the ring to the digital world, and slowly the momentum began to shift. It wasn't a lucky break or a miracle, it was the inevitable result of a man who refused to stop moving. Success is a direction, not a destination, and even when the first few thousand started rolling in, I didn't celebrate. I didn't buy a watch or go on a vacation. I reinvested every single cent into the machine because I knew that maintenance is the first step toward decay. You are either growing or you are dying, there is no middle ground, and the second you get comfortable is the second you start losing your edge. I see men today who work for a week and then want a month off to recharge, as if their tiny amount of effort earned them the right to be lazy. Real power comes from the ability to work when you are tired, to execute when you are sad, and to lead when you are afraid. I built systems that work for me so that my wealth is no longer tied to my physical presence, and that is the only true freedom. You are a biological machine designed for conquest, yet you spend your days scrolling through the digital highlight reels of other men, wondering why your life feels empty. Your life feels empty because you aren't building anything. You aren't hunting, you aren't protecting, and you aren't providing at the level you were meant to. I wake up at 5 in the morning, not because I have to, but because I want to win the race before my competition even knows it has started. If you are sleeping until 8 or 9, you have already conceded the day to men like me. You need to develop an obsession with your own potential that borders on insanity, because that is what it takes to break out of the matrix. The matrix is a set of rules designed to keep you predictable and profitable for someone else, and the only way out is to become so wealthy and so influential that the rules no longer apply to you. I don't care about your excuses or your background or the fact that you didn't have a head start, because I had less than you and I built a kingdom. Your excuses are just the lies you tell yourself to make your cowardice feel like a logical choice. Delete them from your vocabulary. If you want a better life, you must become a better man, and that starts with your physical body. A weak body cannot house a strong mind, and if you are undisciplined with what you eat and how you train, you will be undisciplined in how you handle your finances. Every rep in the gym is a lesson in suffering and persistence that translates directly to the boardroom. I look at the world today and I see a generation of men who have been declawed, who are afraid of their own shadows, and who seek permission for everything they do. I never asked for permission to be successful, I just took it. I didn't wait for a seat at the table, I built my own table in a better room. You have to understand that the world is a predatory place, and if you aren't the one doing the hunting, you are the one being hunted. My wealth represents my freedom to say what I want, go where I want, and live how I want, and if that offends you, it's because you are still a slave to the opinions of others. I don't engage with haters because you don't argue with people who are below you. You just keep winning until their voices are drowned out by the sound of your success. Every morning is round one, and you need to come out of the corner swinging with the intention of a knockout. Stop being a spectator in your own life. Stop waiting for the perfect moment, because the perfect moment is a myth designed to keep you stationary. The only moment that exists is now, and if you don't use it to advance your position, you are wasting the gift of your existence. I want you to look in the mirror and be disgusted by your own mediocrity until that disgust turns into a fire that consumes every lazy bone in your body. This is your conquest. This is your war. And the only way to win is to outwork, outthink, and outlast everyone else on the planet. I did it from a basement in Romania with $400, so tell me again why you can't do it with everything you have available to you right now. The time for talking is over. The time for planning is over. The time for excuses is dead. Get to work, and don't stop until you've built a life that makes your current dreams look like a small-time joke. The empire isn't going to build itself, and the world isn't going to hand you a crown just because you showed up. You have to take it with both hands and hold on to it with everything you've got. Become the version of yourself that you would fear as an opponent, and then go out and dominate every single day until your last breath. Most people are living a lie, and they don't even have the courage to admit it to themselves when the lights go out and the world is quiet. You know that 3 a.m. feeling where you're staring at the ceiling and the weight of your unfulfilled potential is pressing down on your chest like a lead weight, while the rest of the world is dreaming of things they will never have. The difference between the man who is winning and the man who is watching is that at that exact moment of realization, the winner gets out of bed while the loser rolls over and goes back to sleep. You have spent your entire life being sedated by comfortable lies and mediocre expectations because society wants you weak, predictable, and easy to manage. They want you hitting snooze 3 times, scrolling through your phone for 30 minutes every morning looking at people living the life you were supposed to have, and then dragging your body to a job that drains your soul for a paycheck that barely covers your survival. You've gotten so comfortable with your own stagnation that you've convinced yourself that this is just how life is, that dreams are for children, and that success is some kind of cosmic lottery reserved for people with better luck or better connections. I am here to murder that lie, because the only thing standing between you and the extraordinary version of yourself is the absolute refusal to face the mirror. When was the last time you looked at yourself and saw the truth instead of the edited highlight reel you post on social media or the mask you wear for your boss? There is a hero lying dormant inside of you right now, a version of you that is disciplined, powerful, healthy, and genuinely respected. But there is also a destructive version that makes excuses, says tomorrow, and ghosts every real opportunity out of a pathetic fear of failure. Every single day, these two versions of you are at war, and the one you feed is the one that wins. If you look at your life yesterday and you didn't move closer to your goals, then you fed the loser, and you need to feel the sting of that truth until it wakes you up from your coma. You cannot win a war if you don't know the terrain, and most of you are walking through life on autopilot, completely blind to the patterns of self-sabotage that keep you small. You promise yourself you'll start that project or that workout, and then suddenly you find a reason to reorganize your desk or check your emails because your brain is terrified of the struggle and is creating distractions to keep you safe in your comfort zone. Self-awareness is the first pillar of your transformation because you cannot change what you refuse to acknowledge. You need to start tracking your days like a scientist, not to judge yourself, but to observe where your energy is being stolen and where your focus is being sold for cheap dopamine. If you don't know why you procrastinate or what triggers your bad habits, you are a victim of your own biology. The second pillar is self-reflection, which most people avoid like the plague because they are afraid of the answers they'll find. Every night before you close your eyes, you need to ask yourself if your actions today moved you closer to the person you want to become or further away. It's not about being perfect, it's about your trajectory. Champions crave the truth even when it hurts, because they know that self-delusion is the ultimate enemy. If you cheated on your diet or skipped your work, don't beat yourself up and don't pretend it didn't happen. Extract the lesson, figure out what emotion you were trying to feed, and move on with a better strategy. Your internal dialogue is the script that writes your reality, and most of you have a liar in your head telling you that you aren't good enough or that everyone else has it easier. Your mind has a confirmation bias that will find evidence to prove your self-image right, so if you tell yourself you're lazy, your brain will find a reason to sit on the couch. You need to fire that liar and change the script to a strategic dialogue of self-leadership. Stop saying you can't do something and start saying you can't do it yet, because your brain is plastic and you can rewire it through the repetition of empowering thoughts. You wouldn't let a stranger follow you around all day calling you a failure, so why do you allow your own mind to do it? Self-mastery is the final pillar, where discipline becomes your default setting and you no longer rely on the fleeting garbage known as motivation. Motivation is an unreliable emotional state that disappears the moment things get difficult, but discipline is doing what needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like doing it. You don't wait for motivation to brush your teeth because it's a non-negotiable part of your identity, and that is exactly how your success behaviors need to become. The world is addicted to instant pleasure and social media highlight reels, but nobody wants to talk about the grind that happens in the dark. Nobody sees the 4:30 wake-ups when your body is screaming for sleep, or the hundreds of rejections you take before you get a single yes. Grind now so you can shine later isn't some cute caption. It's a brutal lifestyle of choosing delayed gratification. Everything you want is on the other side of an uncomfortable conversation, an uncomfortable workout, or an uncomfortable decision. If you stay comfortable, you stay average, and that is a choice you make every single hour. You need to shift from self-doubt to self-trust, understanding that every failure is just data and a lesson you paid for. Thomas Edison didn't fail 10,000 times. He found 10,000 ways it didn't work. And you need to stop fearing mistakes and start collecting lessons like they are gold. Stop measuring your chapter 1 against someone else's chapter 20, because social media is a lie and you're comparing your behind-the-scenes struggle to their edited final product. The only person you are competing with is the version of you that existed yesterday, and if you are 1% better today, you are winning. You need to move from talking to walking, because the world doesn't reward your intentions, it only rewards your execution. Stop announcing your big plans to get a dopamine hit from the conversation, and start proving your worth through undeniable results. Keep your goals private until they are so obvious that you don't need to say a word. You cannot build a healthy life or a healthy relationship if you don't respect yourself first. If you don't value your own time and your own word, you will tolerate disrespect from everyone else and you will accept breadcrumbs instead of the feast you deserve. The man code is about being so solid in your own skin that you don't need validation from a world that is designed to keep you confused. You are going to die one day, and that dark truth should be the ultimate motivator to stop being a spectator in your own life. On your deathbed, you won't regret the things you tried and failed at. You will regret the life you could have lived but didn't, because you chose comfort over courage. There is a war happening inside your skull right now, a war for mindset conquest. And if you lose this war, you lose everything. You need to become the general of your own thoughts, disciplining every soldier in your mind to fight for your success rather than your destruction. Unshakable belief isn't some wishful thinking. It is a fortress built brick by brick through evidence of your own discipline. You build that belief by doing the hard things you said you would do, and once you have enough proof, your confidence becomes a force of nature. In a world designed to steal your attention, the ability to focus is a superpower, and if you don't control your focus, you don't control your life. Stop giving your energy away for free to news, drama, and social media that doesn't move you forward. Focus on yourself is survival, not selfishness. You will never outperform your self-image, so you must consciously redesign who you are. Stop saying you are trying to be successful and start acting like the man who is already there, because your brain cannot tell the difference between reality and the identity you consistently reinforce. Life is going to hit you hard and you are going to lose money, people, and opportunities, but resilience is the ability to turn that pain into power. The people at the top have failed more than you have even tried, but they kept moving while everyone else crumbled. Mindset conquest is a daily practice of auditing your thoughts and challenging your excuses until mental excellence becomes your nature. Start your morning with intention, visualizing the person you are becoming until your brain programs your behavior to match that vision. Your emotions are not facts, they are just chemical reactions trying to keep you safe, but a champion uses those emotions as fuel rather than instructions. Channel your anger into your work and your fear into your courage. You must also be ruthlessly selective about who you allow into your circle, because proximity is power. If the 5 people you spend the most time with are broke and negative, you will become the 6th. Cut off the energy vampires and the dream killers who want you to stay small so they don't feel bad about their own stagnation. Loyalty to people who don't support your growth is just a slow form of suicide. Real mindset conquest means your internal state is no longer a slave to external circumstances. You can be alone but fulfilled, and you can face rejection but still know your worth. The real reason you are losing right now is the deadly combination of laziness and arrogance. You are lazy because you choose the easy path every time, and you are arrogant because you think the rules of success don't apply to you. You think you're special enough to get the trophy without the training, and that arrogance is why you can't see your own flaws. You look at successful people and tell yourself they got lucky because your ego won't let you admit they simply worked harder than you. Arrogance makes you unteachable and unpromotable, while humble people are passing you by because they are willing to learn. You want the destination without the journey, and that is a mathematical impossibility. The world owes you absolutely nothing. Not respect, not money, and not love. Everything must be earned, taken, and defended. Your arrogance makes you feel entitled to a life you haven't worked for, and your laziness makes you unwilling to pay the price. You are replaceable in every area of your life, and the only way to become irreplaceable is to be so disciplined and valuable that losing you would be a tragedy. You need to kill your ego to build your empire. Stop waiting for Monday or for a better time, because there is no such thing as a perfect condition. Every day you wait is another day someone else is taking your share of the world. Your laziness is a comfortable prison, and your arrogance is the guard that keeps you there. Get brutally honest about where you have been weak and where you have been entitled. Make a decision right now to be different, and prove that decision with a physical action. Don't just think about it, do the workout, send the email, or start the project this very second. The bridge between the person you are and the person you want to be is built on the destruction of your own excuses. You have been losing because you were too lazy to fight and too arrogant to learn, but you can change that right now. The world is waiting for the best version of you, but that version is buried under layers of comfort and ego. Wake up the hero, starve the victim, and move with a sense of urgency that scares the people around you. The clock is ticking on your life, and every minute you spend being average is a minute you are betraying your own soul. The path to greatness is open, but only for those who are willing to walk through the fire of self-discipline. Stop being a spectator, stop being a casualty, and start being the architect of your own destiny. You have the power to change everything, but power without action is just a waste of space. Prove your worth to yourself first.